basic head bob. Ready, go.
There we go. Waiting. Welcome to the Bradshaw Show. BradshawShow.com. Oops, which I can't type, by the way, with my thumbs. I don't know how teenage girls do this. I don't understand anything about females at all, but that's another.
I don't particularly like texting.
I just don't get that. Like, there are people who are like faster. Doing
They
that.
have those world competitions now where they can text off.
Like, it's crazy. I'm old. I still do like the keyboard phone. I don't like
My fat fingers don't fit those things.
I find it much better than typing, like even on something this size.
I have a keyboard that actually predicts what I'm trying to type by the mistakes I'm making, and it works pretty well, actually.
Yeah, I've seen they have like swipe.
This isn't swipe, but
they have all the different types
this
to
is
get around the fact
just
that a flat keyboard sucks, and frankly, mankind perfected keyboard technology with the old IBM Model M. It was very clicky. It was you could literally put the thing in your dishwasher.
Yeah, I like the big clicky. The only bad thing about them, though, is on air. You can hear the clicking.
Yeah, they're not good for an environment like this, but just for regular typing. Like, I've had my keyboard for 7 or 8 years now. It's like, it's perfect. I'm used to it, and I feel weird.
It's not one of those split in the middle ones, right?
No, I don't know how those people are abominations.
I don't understand that.
Have
you seen the one-handed ones?
People who use the ergonomic keyboard is the only relation so that I can understand like how Steve Dace feels about most of mankind. That's how I feel about people who use.
What about the one-handed one where it's multiple buttons that you have to press at the same time to get different letters?
You know, I know a lot of gamers try stuff like that, or they have the mouse that has like 45 buttons on the side of it. I don't. It just seems like a whole.
I don't get it.
I don't want to learn Dvorak. I don't want to.
This is why I play console games. It's just so much easier.
You know, I've told you this story. Originally Xbox Live was supposed to be so that Microsoft, right, home of Windows, the largest operating system, in the world, and Xbox, one of the 3 big console games, was supposed to kind of combine those universes. So if you're, playing Halo with your Cheetos-stained fingers in a living room, I could play against you on my PC. What they found out was that even with some help, like aiming assist for console play, they just got destroyed by PC game. It wasn't even a competition. It was like me versus Stephen Hawking in a 50-yard dash.
Well, I think, though, part of that relies on the fact that most people that game on computers are way more serious about gaming.
I don't know, man. I've used Xbox voice chat, and no one uses language like that if they're not serious or from the 1940s.
Actually,
South.
Thankfully, most of that's gone away because they did the party chat. And the party chat takes most people out. Very rarely do you even encounter anybody that talks anymore.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite.
Maybe I'm old school. I remember that.
No, you like
the combination of like questions of sexuality, racial slur, like it would merge together.
Every white kid on the internet thought he could talk very crudely about black people. Was very awkward.
Anyone who would kill them was obviously hacking and was some sort of, African American homosexual. Lover of older women who happen to be their mothers. And
that seems about right, yeah.
Like, and I know it was mostly like 12 and 13-year-olds, but that was the thing. It was like,
Yeah, it was kind of disturbing.
You feel like the Memorex guy. You turn on the voice. Hey, everyone, how's it going? And it's just, your hair's blown back. You look like those Trojan Twister ad people.
Yeah, ever since they went to party chat and you can chat across games, so like some of the people I'll hang
So you
out
just
with.
chat with your friends instead of the people in that actual game.
Yeah, we're not even necessarily all playing the same game because a lot of those guys are playing Call of Duty 3 or Black Ops 2 or whatever it is
the hot game is,
Yeah, and I'm still playing Halo 3 or 4, whatever 4 I think it is I'm playing.
They're old school.
Yeah, so but that's kind of nice. But yeah, that was definitely a problem several years ago. It was all it was the N-word.
They stopped doing the Halo games for PC, which I was never a huge fan. But the funny, when they put a Halo 2 out for the PC, this was supposed to be the big killer app. You had to run Windows Vista. No one ran Windows Vista.
How long did Windows Vista last? Like
a couple years.
Did it actually?
Their goal, they want to get it down to kind of like Apple, where it's an every year instead of every 3 years.
Isn't
or
that
every
the one
5
though
years.
they switched like within a couple months? They had another operating system too.
No. I mean, it's not like Windows ME or something.
No, there was just one that like I just went to buy a computer and we bought one. Windows 7. It was Windows 7 came out right after Vista.
Yeah,
And now we have Windows
it was
8.
a couple years later. I think it was like 3 years.
I don't think it was that long.
That
Windows 8 sucks, though. You can have my copy.
Oh, I have the $15 upgrade that I don't.
Yeah, I put my $15 upgrade, and I wish I could take it off.
Seems it seems like it would be great for a tablet. It's a horrible mistake, and it will be quickly moved past. But no, Windows wants to go to like the yearly $40 update instead of the $200 update every.
Makes a lot of sense.
2 or 3 years. Well, I don't know. I'm a big fan of service packs, but that's just me. All right, coming up. All eyes on Michigan today, as the State House passes right to work for public workers. The next step is right to work for private workers in maybe the last great bastion of organization, Michigan, home of the Big Three, and really they're still highly unionized compared to America, but it's certainly not what it once was. And there's a bunch of different angles here. Let's start with the one that's going to make all the news today, and that is, as we speak, 10, 12, 13,000 people are protesting at the Capitol. There is tear gas being fired at the Romney building. I'll leave any symbolism you want to attach to that up to you. There's pepper spray out. People are upset, and I think rightly so, considering here you have a governor, Rick Snyder, who for the last couple of years has run around saying, I'm not going to push right to work. The issue is too divisive. I'm going to leave it be. All of a sudden, in a lame duck session, no less, a month out from Michigan going blue once again, literally like blink, announced, put up, voted same day. This was a blitzkrieg. This was a surprise attack, bringing right to work to Michigan. And it's at the heart a very simple reasoning. It helps defund the left. What right to work does is that you basically can't have a union shop. Now, according to Republicans, this is an essential freedom that apparently is so essential, cops and firefighters won't get it. Now, cops, that's part of the Michigan Constitution, but I noticed they removed firefighters as well, I guess afraid of the blowback there. The argument that police and firefighters have been told from lawmakers. This is their excuse for why cops and firefighters are exempt, and that is that they don't want to mess with cohesion. And if you're a police officer, a firefighter, your life depends on, other people having your back, and you don't want to, split, the police force. Which I guess is a great compliment to, say, corrections workers. Because I guess the implied thing there is that a prison guard is a one-man army at that point, because they don't have those protections. And rewind it a bit. It seems like this whole mess started by the man by the name of Dick DeVos. In '06, he ran for governor of Michigan. He lost, which means he had to fall back on his day job, running Amway. You may have heard of it. Word on the streets is that DeVos decided it was time to make a push. I think he sees as well as anyone that Republicans are having a harder and harder time winning things at the ballot box, so we need to find alternative methods. So the call went out to a number of state senators, state representatives in Michigan, letting them know that if they don't push this, there's a very high likelihood they will be primaried by someone who will, and that someone will be funded by the billionaire Dick DeVos. Handy way to get things done. That's how you get the governor of a blue state, 2 years away from re-election, to do a complete 180 on a rather important issue to that state. This is what happens when you have a rhino hunt. So, Senate passed it last week. The House is passing it today. Now, yesterday, the governor sat down with Michigan's congressional delegation. That'd be the folks in Washington who implored him, and he said he would take their arguments very seriously before ignoring them and signing the bill. Clever little piece. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it certainly goes to the heart of the GOP. Remember when Republicans were all about up or down votes, and even to this day, there are still some anti-same-sex marriage diehards, the Let Us Vote crew. In an effort to keep right to work from ending up on a referendum, they're attaching it to appropriations bill so that it can't be brought up and voted out. Now it's called statutory initiation that require the signatures of 8% of the people who voted in the last governor's race. And my guess is you're going to see one of those. And the fun part here is, if they get those signatures, it would end up on the ballot in 2014, the same time Governor Snyder is up for re-election. So again, this might be one of those winning battles that cost you the war. But so Dick DeVos showing exactly who is running. State Republican parties, the Republican Party, at time pushes this issue. Short-term win. I don't think there's any other way to look about it. And the long-term cost, frankly, is up to us. As we speak, like I said, 10 to 13,000 people protesting at the Michigan State House. And it's not going to do anything, obviously. And I know hindsight's always 20/20, and I'm just as guilty of this as anyone. But this is what taking our eye off the ball in 2010. Heap this on the list of things it will cost us. because don't kid yourself. If Michigan can go right to work, you don't think that argument is going to be used in the 26 other states so far that don't have it? Well, if Michigan can do it, the home of the big three, UAW, it's right there. Maybe this will help us find Jimmy Hoffa, because somewhere in the end zone of the Meadowlands, he's spinning in his grave. And this is learn from history. I don't want to do too much of this. But, these 10,000 people who will go get pepper sprayed, get tear gassed, try to shut down the, no offense, but where was that for your local Democratic state representative? Where was that? And again, I'm absolutely throwing stones from my own glass house. I understand this, but we need to learn from the past. When everything was kicking up in Wisconsin, and we started to hear rumblings here in Iowa, local unions, to their credit, decided to be a little proactive. I remember, speaking to labor rallies at the State House. I get up there, and first thing I would ask is, hey, okay, how many of you voted for Branstad? You see hands, right? It's like, feel good about that vote now? And we saw in Wisconsin, 30% of union households voted for Scott Walker. Well, they're getting what they didn't even know they were asking for. Now, sometimes you'll get in a lame duck session like this, and I'm assuming it's Michigan. I mean, unless the boat is absolutely capsized and all hands lost, this is going to be a bit of a hurdle. This is going to hurt the crossover vote. I vote for Obama, but I like that Brad Zahn. I don't know what the number was for union voters for Branstad, but there were a number of people just that I saw that were willing to raise their hand, and I wonder how many weren't willing to publicly admit that they pulled the lever for Governor Branstad back in 2010. Again, the deck was stacked against us because it was a throw the bums out an election. After 2 wave elections, we had a lot more bums than they did to throw out. But man, if there was an election to win, not only do they handle, gerrymandering. I would call it, redistricting, but let's call a spade here, which is how Republicans get 1 million fewer votes for the House of Representatives than Democrats do nationwide, but still hold a commanding majority. That is the benefit of winning the 2010 election. Now, maybe Republicans are hoping for another 2010. Maybe they're hoping for disgruntled Democrats to stay home. Maybe they're hoping for more of that crossover vote. And frankly, it's up to us. I mean, if you're watching this, you are far more involved than most people. All right, if you intake this, or if you are keeping tabs on what's going on in Michigan, other than just, the AP photos of pepper spray coming out, ball's in your court. I know we just got done with an incredible, obnoxiously long election season. It drove us all nuts, made TV unwatchable. I don't care who you are, and I don't care what you approve. Leave me alone. But what we saw in Wisconsin, what we've seen attempted here in Iowa, and we're just a few weeks away from the next legislative session, when who knows what matter of crazy is going to be brought up by a Republican Party that is so just absolutely terrified by the fever dreams of their base. We're going to see the death penalty again, more gay marriage. Maybe they'll bring back the Give a Schizophrenic a Gun bill. That's what they called it. They didn't know the microphone was on. In an effort to appease a base that has learned to exist, I think at this point, solely off of rage. You know, to my creationist friends, I love to bring up the example of bacteria that has learned to live off of nylon, a substance that didn't even exist on the earth till 70 years ago. We have life forms that can eat it, digest it, and ask for seconds. We have a Republican base in this country that is very similar. And anything less than beating down liberals. And they're coming for you. We talked about this last week. You know, when Republicans opened the door to the religious right, I don't think they understood the bargain they were truly making and how that good versus evil mentality, you know, seeped into the door. And we're not talking, we're all familiar with, biblical good versus evil, Battle of Armageddon, you name it. But what happens when that same mentality kind of leaves the realm of the, belief and ends up in tax policy? Well, that's where we're at now with the Republican Party beholden to a base that, believes just reaching across the aisle is an act of high treason. And that is so beholden to guys like Dick DeVos. This monster you've created, if you don't do my bidding, I'm going to use it against you. I'm going to primary you. I'm going to find some wingnut who speaks Fox. I'm going to give him a ton of money, and you're not even going to make it to the general election unless you do what I say. How you feel about that? And we all end up paying the cost. I have no doubt, again, when the Fox News cameras are off and the talk radio hosts have finished their interview, no governor wants to sit there with 15,000 people in their front yard yelling Xbox Live style things about your parentage and telling you to commit acts that are, while physically impossible, certainly bring bright imagery to the mind. When it comes down to priorities, I'm willing to cast the benefit of the doubt. I'm willing to say, it's probably more likely that Rick Snyder's, true views probably line up more with what he's been saying, for 2.5 years than what he's done in the last 5 days. Just a hunch. There's certainly no shortage of cartoonishly evil things that the GOP in Michigan are trying to pull off. But I'm willing to accept it if you're going to run on this for 2.5 years, saying that, you know what, it's not your thing. That's probably not your thing. This is the problem that the Republican Party has. This is, again, not just bad policy. For any number of reasons, be it if this is such an essential right, why are you excluding some workers? This is such a great gift to the people of Wisconsin or people of Michigan. Why are you not giving it to firefighters? And certainly, we've seen since union membership has fallen since the early 70s. And other than the housing boom, bubble, and the dot-com bubble, the two numbers almost track parallel. You get a blip in the late 90s, and you get a blip in the mid-aughts, the mid-2000s. When wealth was artificially pumped up. But when you look at, share of income that goes to workers, it just goes down at the same rate. Because one of the reported aspects of unions is you don't have to be in one to benefit. Now, I'm not talking about the freeloading in right to work, in which case they can't require you to be in a union. However, they do have to represent you if you have a grievance, and they negotiate on behalf of everyone. So you get all the benefits. You just don't have to pay for it. Is there anything more Republican than that these days? But if you work in an area where there are a lot of union shops, guess what? That raises wages for everyone in the area, because all those non-union joints have to compete with the union joints for workers. This is the power of collective bargaining, a power that guys like Dick DeVos absolutely understand. By the way, the guy who's made a push in this for Michigan isn't just, at this point, offshoring production. I don't know if there are any Amway products made in the USA. He started to push all his white-collar workers. He's closing up shops in Grand Rapids and moving them to Costa Rica. FYIGM. Now, again, this is where I come back and have to slap Democrats on the wrist. While it is nice to get, 5 figures of people out to protest, that's not going to stop this from getting passed. And, I wonder what percentage of those 15,000, 10,000, whatever the final number is, in the ground, in the House. And I wonder what percentage of those voted, donated, volunteered. Probably a higher percentage than average, but not enough. We need to keep our eye on the prize and these midterms. Yes, I know it's harder to get people fired up and ready to go, and there's not a leading presidential persona on the ballot. But if we get our clocks clean, if Rick Snyder gets away with this, if Republicans in Michigan get away with this, why shouldn't they keep pushing, even in a blue state? What's Rick Snyder going to say to the next Dick DeVos or Koch brother or member of the Coors family that calls it, I'm going to primary you if you don't do what I want? And they can't say, if I do this, I'm toast. Look at so-and-so. Look at so-and-so. So if you want to put a Democrat in the governor's seat, go right ahead. But I'm not going through with your suicide plan. And until we make that a reality, you're going to keep getting more of this. You're going to get these lame duck sessions where, what the hell, let's just pass whatever. And but thanks, Democrats, for that card check. That was nice. Oh, wait, that's right. You didn't get that through. Democrats are kind of let off the hook here because you can stand up and say, what are you going to do, vote for Republicans? I don't got to do squat for you. I'm not going to try to break you up, so I'm inherently better, and I'm just going to sit on my hands the rest of the time. Whether it's Governor Culver coming in 2006, or Democrats, taking the House and the Senate. All those pie in the sky promises made to labor, and the follow through has been very weak. The poster child is Blanche Lincoln. And I don't know why, I'm not from Arkansas, and I don't know why anyone believed that, quote, the senator from Walmart would be in any way, shape, or form pro-union. But when she goes, on the Chautauqua shows, and is quoted in pieces saying, she would support the Employee Free Choice Act, while Democrats are in the minority. Take back the House, and magically that support withers away. It's almost as if the senator for Walmart might have a reason to avoid supporting organized labor. While it is admirable that, Michael Moore, Jesse Jackson, thousands of their closest friends are descending upon the Washington Capitol today. Understand it, or the Michigan Capitol. It doesn't do anything. It accomplishes nothing. We need to remind people, that you can actually do some good in elections. Contest seats. You never know when someone's going to Todd Aiken themselves. You should be doing everything in your power to get them to Todd Aiken themselves. At least on the national level. We're seeing this in the debt ceiling negotiations. Some Democrats have come to the stunning realization that I used to make my living off of. The best thing Democrats can do is get Republicans talking. The rest tends to take care of itself. I'm not even talking about the legitimate rape types. When they say the things that are just so wacky, I'm not a witch, Second Amendment remedies, over the top. Just get them to talk about little things like their policies. Why do you think Republicans won't offer any specifics when it comes to, they'll just talk about the generic, we want less spending. Well, which less spending would you like? I don't know, pick something. So they can then turn around in 2 years and blame Democrats for. Why do you think Steve King turns down an appropriations seat? Because it's easier to shoot spitwads from the balcony than put your name on something. Steve King is not crazy, is not stupid. He just knows how to appeal to those types and does very well electorally at it. Get Republicans talking. It is the best weapon Democrats have in our arsenal these days. We got to run against them. We got to push them. We got to do it in the off years, in the little elections. Yes, it's not sexy to work for a state representative. And yes, I am as guilty as anyone. But Kelsey Clark, I have failed you. I voted for you. But that's where the battle is headed. We can spend all our time, on the election of the president, but the map is pretty much taking care of that for us. The Republican Party is taking care of that for us. The House is, barring major catastrophe, out of our reach till 2020. It's simply not going to happen until redistricting. But governors' races. Why are there Republican governors in blue states? This should not happen. You know, the bipartisan crossover days, at least for now, are over, done, buried. The only thing keeping us from looking like, well, Michigan today, or a Wisconsin, or an Ohio, is we have state Democrats in the Senate. If we didn't have a majority there, can you imagine the hellhole this would turn into, what our water quality would be? How many more, corporate fertilizer plant giveaways we would have? How many schizophrenics we'd give a gun to? If it weren't for Senate Democrats, we'd be hosed. And who knows? We might even draw 10,000 people to protest at the Capitol, but it would do no good. We put in the work. We got our Senate Democrats. We have a firewall. Hopefully the folks in Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio learn this lesson, even if they have to learn it the hard way. And we're going to take lumps like this, and we're going to lose some battles. And I understand, liberals and Democrats. It's like herding meth-addicted cats. I understand that completely, all too well. But if we don't, this is the price we're going to pay. Rump minority parties are still dangerous. And it looks like unions in Michigan are going to pay the price. Starting with the public workers, moving on to the private. All right, 244-0077. Email radiobradshaw@gmail.com. On Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw, or just go, I got to remember to do this backwards, thebradshawshow.com. It's got links to show archives. Everything's there, thebradshawshow.com. You can find all the contact info and the like. When we come back, a little more about the debt ceiling, and maybe we can teach Republicans to live off of nylon. Gotten them to live off of worse. I'll explain when we come back. Here on The Bradshaw Show on Webcast One Live. Thanks for watching. Back right after this.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager
I am the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's got to be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
If you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave. and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
It's time to start.
Rock concert movement.
Oh, that's a good. Could use some good news today.
Basic head bob.
So far, it's been all bad.
Ready, go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Public Enemy is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's awesome. And people forget when Public Enemy came on the scene. In the days of, this was like, the Hammer Pants era. And it wasn't, kind of the over the top gangster rap that is meant to appeal to, suburban white kids. Yeah, F the police. I'm coming straight out of Clive. Public Enemy was something different. They actually scared people. I remember, Bill Clinton had a Sister Soldier moment, which kind of cemented them, but few scuffles along the way, a few slides, but Public Enemy, Rock and Roll Hall of Famers. Nice. Along with Donna Summer. So I don't know if that enhances or diminishes the award. Randy Newman, Albert King, and Heart. Rush? Not the band. All going in. I think they don't exactly fit my, stereotype of Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. All right. RadioBradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Radio Bradshaw. Or just listen along at home or on your smartphone. All, pretty much whenever you want it, wherever you want it. Charles Pierce has a piece in Esquire. Republicans and presidential election loss. The Republicans still can't grasp why they lost. And this is in response to a piece earlier in the day from Politico about how the Republican National Committee is gathering their best and the brightest. And they're going to try to throw the one Obama into Mount Doom or something. I don't know exactly what they're getting together to do, but it's sort of a post-mortem on the 2012 election cycle. I think to most people, it's pretty straightforward. You have a damaged brand. You ran a horrible candidate who didn't even execute the basics well. Like, here in Iowa, Team Obama, when all was said and done, aired approximately 13,000 more commercials in the state than Mitt Romney, and paid like half. Yes, the community organizer whooped your business geniuses behind in the actual business of running a campaign You're welcome. No, the Obama team was smart. They bought ad time early on, whereas Team Romney was kind of jumping from place to place to place and buying it, the week of or a week beforehand and paying full freight. Instead of buying early and getting a discount, your business acumen genius was paying twice as much for fewer commercials. The 47% tape obviously didn't help, but it's not like the rest of the campaign did that much either. Paul Ryan was a big nothing, and it was a poorly run, poorly executed campaign with a poor candidate. On top of the issues we were talking about before, is you have this base that has learned to live off of rage. And watch Fox. Just watch it for like an hour. And look how many of their stories are nothing more really than a short stick to poke people with. Here's something to be angry about. Here's something to be upset about. I tweeted this yesterday. I made the mistake of going to a right-wing site. It was an article involving race. It's fine. I read far too much right-wing media. If only, again, just to know what the enemy is talking amongst themselves about. My problem, never read the comment section before dinner. Although it was Greg tweeted that that might be a great diet plan. The term bitter clingers gets tossed around a bit. Might not be a bad idea. But back to this meeting of the best of the brightest to try to figure out why the election. Will be chaired by RNC committee member Henry Barber, longtime Jeb Bush advisor Sally Bradshaw, no relation. Bush press secretary Ari Fleischer, who, since leaving the Bush White House, which was a paragon of accomplishment, went on to advise the fine folks at Komen for the Cure. He was one of the great minds behind the plan to remove Komen funding from Planned Parenthood. And that worked out well for them. That didn't cost anyone their job. So that's what Ari Fleischer's up to now. Puerto Rico RNC committee member Zori Fonadis, and a RNC member from South Carolina. So that's your best and the brightest. Haley Barber's nephew. A Bush spokesperson and a couple, and that's the A-team. The source insisted the GOP has problems, but they are solvable. We have to look at what we are doing right and what we're doing wrong, lay out our vision and plans for America so everyone knows what we stand for. 2010 was the biggest midterm win for one party since the 1938 election. Our ideas still resonate, but we need to examine what's working and what isn't. We have 30 governors right now, but we want to listen and learn and do better in presidential years as well. That's true. 2010 was a big win. But when you mistake a throw the bums out election for a mandate for your ideas, you tend to overreach and cause problems, which might lead to some backlash in 2012, which is what we saw. Pierce said, it's becoming clear to everyone The 2010 election now has all the historical aspects of the last gasp of the old order. The GOP seems to realize this too. Deep in its lizard brain, it's taking this whipping a hell of a lot more seriously than it did in 06 or 08. And that's true. You certainly see 06 was blown off, and 08 was blamed just on the Obama madness. Especially, and just the stuff I'm seeing and reading and ingesting. I think there's a lot more taking this one to heart. Systemic problems are coming to the surface. Seems to have blinded the Republicans to the fact that absent gerrymandering in the various state houses, their only chance in elections outside the Deep South, involving more than, say, 30,000 people, is to do all they can to depress turnout. And this past election showed nothing if it didn't show that people are on to that particular game. And I'm sure we'll learn, more about this as more in-depth study. I'm certainly no academic here. But I think there's a lot of good thinking behind the efforts to restrict voting, whether it's voter purges, voter ID law pushes, especially in the case of like a Matt Schultz here in Iowa. 6 months out from the election, now it's an emergency, let's go. Ending of early voting. Not just in, this state or that state, throughout the country over the course of months. Really backfired on the GOP. That was the main argument of the unskewed polling folks, who were, a bit touched in the head, but there's no way minority turnout could be the same as it was in 2008. Do we have fewer minorities now or something? If anything, the push, to cage them, to make it harder to vote, to purge them, redoubled their effort and probably turned some, maybe voters into probable voters into, I'm going to vote because these guys are pissing me off. It was so over the top and so blatant and so widespread, it was impossible to miss. But deep down, it came from what other option did they have? And if your only option's a bad option, it's still your only option. I know, deep words. But when you're a Republican Party, your problem is your base. You made a strategic decision. Thank you, George W. Bush. To double down after your 08 licking. And certainly in a vacuum makes sense. Well, if we don't run the House, we don't run the Senate, we don't have the White House, then it's best to criticize every decision those folks make because none of them are our fault. So, quick, send Dick Armey a few $1 million. Let's create a Tea Party. Now they're facing the backlash from the same, beast that helped them in 2010. It's the last, burn out the engines, crank it to 11. And it looks like that's what they're doing. From the Politico piece. Given the complaints about the party, the composition of the committee includes at least one Reince Priebus ally and others' ties to the Bush world. It includes demographic diversity, but less so ideologically. You think? It remains to be seen how conservative activists react. Is there anyone on earth who doesn't know how conservative activists are going to react to any attempt to move outside Republican orthodoxy? flamethrowers, gasoline, hot tar, feathers, pitchforks. Yeah, when you've spent the last, 5 years comparing, Democrats, your fellow Americans who just simply don't agree with you. The traitors, communists, socialists, Marxists, Nazis, and more. What does it say about your character if you reach across the aisle and work with them? Some sort of collaborator? Pierce says, I can tell you how they're going to react. You're seeing it now, as one generation of conservative grifters moves aside to make room for another. And as his caucus has John Boehner's balls for breakfast, they're going to go completely mad. And there's no one at the RNC, not even this new pet committee, that is going to be able to rein them in. Because they are where all the party's money and energy is right now. The party is all independent centers of power, many of them nutty, all of them with their own agenda. That's what's going to happen. You can send my check along anytime. Yeah, not exactly rocket science, what Pierce is writing here. But until the Republicans have a leader, well, one that's actually alive, your hologram of Ronald Reagan doesn't count. They are a bull in a china shop. And that's where guys like Dick DeVos can cause, the damage that we're seeing in Michigan today. Again, these things don't just magically happen in a vacuum. A sitting governor doesn't just do a 180 halfway through his term, gearing up for what was already going to be a tough re-election. Without a bit of an outside push. And again, I don't say this because I hate conservatives or I hate Republicans, but they're doing damage. Yesterday I explained, the sad sack saga of Dick Morris, who can feel it, just in his very toes. He laid out how Dick Morris raises money, which then he feeds to Newsmax, which then feeds to Dick Morris. All this money, is being donated to, defeat socialism, Marxism, Kenyan anti-colonialism. Instead is going to fund these sorts of mooks. Funding Dick Morris so he can tell you how Mitt Romney's going to win 300-plus electoral votes. That's money well spent. But you have these little fiefdoms. In Michigan, Dick DeVos can snap his fingers and cause a state party to do their bidding. What do you think Farm Bureau and friends are doing here in Iowa? With no centralized power, what do you do? And I don't know. Do we need to spend an entire hour comparing the modern-day GOP to the ram on the lamb? At some point, it's going to cause harm, and you need to put it down, not because you hate it, not because you're upset about it. But the Republican Party in this country, again, is still one of our two major political parties. With no rudder, no direction, no leader. And they are causing harm. And we need to finish this. We need to make the Dick DeVosses. We need to make the Vanderplatzes electoral poison. We must help our conservative friends, plunge the warlords and the grifters out of their ranks. Because they've shown they're kind of incapable of doing it. Or at least unwilling. All right. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. And if you live in anywhere that Desmond Adams might possibly have a bit of influence in the state Senate, get out and vote today. Yes, today is special election day. Clyde, Windsor Heights, a bit of some West Des Moines is in there as well. Again, not as liberal as I would like, but being a former resident of that area, far better than I would have a right to expect. Again, more margin equals better than in the state Senate, our last great firewall. So if you're in the special election area, get out, vote if you haven't already, and we'll reconvene tomorrow at 1:30 here on Webcast One Live on The Bradshaw Show. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drink, dance, party. Kitty's is the ultimate dance club in Des Moines. A huge dance floor with room to move, 3 bars to keep your drinks full, and kickin' DJs playing all your favorite dance music. At Kitty's, we've always got your birthday party planned with Birthday Fridays. That's right, when your birthday rolls around, there's only one place to go. Gather up your friends and head to Kitty's, where you drink free on the Friday of your birthday week. Find out more about Birthday Fridays at kittiesusa.com. Kitty's, all kinds of people, all kinds of music, all kinds of fun.
The point is, we are free now to do what we could never do before, and that is love and obey Christ and answer to Him, our Savior, rather than answer to someone else on this earth who sets Him up as your authority. You and I answer to Christ.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.